Hello and welcome to another episode of Never a Straight Answer, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined by remote, you know him, is the alternative globe, Troy Taylor.
Hey.
How's it going, sir? How's it going?
Not too bad,
Wow.
not too bad. So,
Yeah, not too bad. It's just fucking ever continuing lockdown situation with
get a bit boring now,
it
innit?
just
Really?
seems to never want to end now, does it? And I don't know what the latest is, because it's kind of like I don't know if they've stopped actually reporting on it as much, or it's just that we're just kind of filtering it out ourselves. To be honest, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? But yeah, do you know a bit more about when this lockdown's been? I mean, I heard the other day, and I only heard late, that it had been extended till October in the UK. Is that what's that? Is that the furlough, or is that the lockdown? What's that situation?
I think that's the furlough.
Right. Okay.
Up to now, but as of Monday, people could go back to work.
At your own risk.
At your own
be
risk. Don't use
cautious
public
and be.
transport.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Well, some people haven't got the choice, though, haven't they?
Well, that's true.
Well,
but
we'll
also,
go on.
what's been recognised now is the R rating. Now, last week it was between, 5 and 7, something like that.
Yeah.
They've now found that it's actually between 7 and 1 now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because I'm presuming, and it's late information, so I'm presuming sometime either next week or the week after, if it is 1, it's going to go back to everyone locked down.
Do you reckon?
So, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't seem to see it kind of.
It's come back in China. It's come back in Germany.
It doesn't seem to. When you look on the John Hopkins website, it just doesn't seem to be a flattened of any curve, which they talked about. So it just confuses me when you see that on other people's charts in other countries where they are going back to it. And the UK seems to be more of an up climbing hill rather than a flattening of a curve. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know more about it than I do. But
right,
anyway,
the scale that they're showing it, but in other scales, consider about the population, then it looked like South Korea was actually worse.
Well,
and they only lost I think it was over 200 people.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's a bit of a kind of a nightmare.
How they show you the numbers and how how it's recognised. And on that scale,
I
we're
think
about 5.
this is it. It'll be about a couple of years before we get an actual account and scale of numbers and stuff like that. So I think looking at them now, it's a bit pointless. But anyway, we'll talk a bit more about the crisis and what's going on in the world a bit later on. But welcome to the show anyway. Yeah, it's episode 86. Creeping up on that 100. So we've got an interesting show coming up today. We're going to be talking about SpaceX and its mission to Mars. Been seeing a lot about Elon Musk and his space program in the media and on the news, on YouTube, on the internet, and it's basically quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, he set out to do this crazy feat.
Yeah, but he's going to do what he says he's going to do, because
even if he doesn't, it's still been quite impressive what he's managed to achieve so far, based on that initial statement saying that he was going to go out and do it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, true. But
I mean,
there could be stuff behind it that, like NASA, right? We're doing this and this.
Theories.
We're going back to the moon. We're still waiting to go back to the moon. They're doing their project.
This is why it's good that independent third-party companies who aren't linked to NASA.
Is it independent?
Well, no, probably not now. They're
because
probably being funded.
They're
probably being funded by. I think NASA do have a big hand and a big,
they will fund
hand in with Elon Musk, because at the end of the day, it's like who do the military get their weapons from? Who do they get their rockets from? They go to rockets and weapons manufacturers. So, considering the US never really had a rocket for a long time. They had to rely on the Soviets or Russia to send them up on their rocket. Yeah. Right now we've got one that not only can they send up into space, it'll land back safely and they can use it again. So I mean, even if there's still a lot of ifs and buts going into the can we actually achieve a manned flight to Mars, but there's a lot of kind of ifs, whether that can be that dream can be made a reality. And it's just one of those leaps at a time, just to hopefully see what happens. But we're going to go into this so much more detail.
I was just going to jump in. I'm like, I've got to hold up. I know, we're not into it yet.
But what have you been up to anyway? I mean, have you been taking a bit of time out during the lockdown to reflect, meditate, enjoy the peace and quiet? Is that what you've been doing this week?
No, I've actually been looking at a lot of George Carlin's comedian.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Stuff.
George Carlin, yeah,
proper. Yeah, he knew where it was. And
the guy knew what he was talking about, didn't he? George Carlin, yeah, that's
it. Into stuff, basic stuff like if this war kicks off with China, where the capabilities, what the actions are going to be, what the next steps, what shift, because now the US have sent one of their aircraft carriers down there, and China has decided to send one of their old Soviet ones that they bought off, so the USR, and did it up and what planes, what the capability is.
It's a bit of a do-a-rapper opportunity, Gav. I won't lie to you. It's seen battle. It's seen battle.
It's worth looking at the minute.
It just needs an oil change.
There's a lot of. There could be an accident at the moment of setting a war off with all the outfitting off at the minute with China.
This is what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot of kind of this is it though. But China seems to be taking things very seriously and saying, we were only talking last week about how China have basically turned around to Australia and said, we're just going to cut you off in terms of supply chains. And
they've gone even worse now.
Oh, go on.
They've even turned around and their beef, Australia's beef that they sell a lot to China.
Okay.
What was it? 90%.
We don't want your beef.
Yeah, there's been an import cost of 90%.
Fucking hell. So
and that's just
so they're trying to write them off now economically. I mean, this is the thing. It's like
but they're not the only country doing it.
You've got to ask yourself, what's a war worthy? What's worthy of going to war? Is it? Money. Does seem to be that we've gone to war for a hell of a lot less in the past.
2008, right? It was the first time ever that in 2008, after a massive economic breakdown, that it was never a war after. It was generally a war after. Now consider this, that because it wasn't a war after, all the frustrations or all where the dodgy money is, or where all the stuff hasn't gone back to normal, how it would be till the next time that the collapse happens.
Right, okay.
We all knew by 2022 that there was going to be a major issue with money, because what we say is
taking it all to Mars.
Yeah, there's more digital numbers than there is actually money around.
Yeah, well, we've known that since like the 90s. I mean, in terms of like, common knowledge, for me anyway, you watch the Zeitgeist and these type of documentaries when you're younger, and it's like actually opens your eyes to the, how the economic system, and how it's supposed to work and how it does work. And it's like, I've still got friends, who believe the government make the money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, they don't. They borrow the money from the bank. The government still have to go and borrow the money from the bank, but the government own the banks. No, they don't. That's totally wrong. No, it's wrong.
And funny enough, the Bank of England was named after a famous battle.
Okay. Yeah. What was it? The Battle of fucking... Fuck off, I'm not giving you an overdraft.
The Bank of England, I think it was called. And it was named after it, a long time ago. But, there's a lot of...
Interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, it's like...
It is. And I'm looking at certain things at the minute. Like, I'm trying to gain some, how do you call it, some scientific knowledge on certain little things.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think this is a good opportunity for people to use that time there where, you know, I've been trying to figure out stuff that I was interested in, but I wanted to kind of actually have a bit of time to deep dive into and try and get my head around a bit more than just going, oh, yeah. Oh, I kind of get that. And then off on the next adventure. Do you know, it's like I needed to sit down and try and, you know, get my head around it properly.
Yeah.
And I think I've done a few things. I'm getting to the point now where I'm a bit bored now, because you have so many hobbies at home where you can kind of repeat doing those for so long, and it's like you get to a point where you're banging your head against a wall again. So, you know, I need to shake up my routine a little bit. But this is it. I think most people are just ready to go back to normality. Some people, a kind of version of normality. But I hope everybody listening is obviously holding up out there, and you know, just fucking doing the best to keep sane at the minute without climbing the walls too much.
It's either
keep it real, man. Keep it real, ladies.
At the end of it, you know what I mean? It's your own choice. You can either be ill or try and pass the illness on to someone else, or stay indoors.
No, this is it. But the thing that kind of worries me is prematurely opening borders too soon, letting kids go back to school too soon, letting people going to work. I mean, we're gonna see. I think the naive in thinking that we're not going to see a kind of a rise before a fall, but it's like, you know, they keep saying periodically on the news, especially Boris Johnson, or as you know, if you watch Screen Wipe or Antiviral Wipe this week, you know, what's he called now? Charlie Brooker. You know, you'll know Bojo. Yeah, so if Mr. Bojo's not, you know, we keep saying repeatedly how, you know, we don't want to give it an opportunity to get a second wave. So, you know, it's like, yeah, exactly. So, you know, we should know. And the fact that they're opening, you know, easing it off is one thing, but making sure that they're below that R before they do is fucking paramount. And just by saying, you know, well, we'll let some people out, and noticeably, the thing is, he's saying on one hand, if you can work from home, you can work from home. So you stay at home, right? But if you can't, go to work, right? So what he's saying there is, it's like you're already kind of getting a bit of a divide, because there's people who can work from home, and it's like, oh, that's fine, yeah. Now I'm one of those people who could work from home.
Send out letters not to businesses. He's had to.
What
they can do and what they can do.
Good. I think it needed to be done, because there's a lot of people who. You're all right, fellas. Bit of pollen on the nose. I think that there's a lot of confusion at the minute, and what was kind of given us as advice didn't really seem to.
I think it is to them as well. If you think about it,
strike many people as kind of. Well, what was that? We don't kind of still really don't understand. But there was a lot of people who did go out the next day, and the news did report on trams and trains and buses being quite full, you know. So
but it's one of them. It's not going to be exactly easy for the government either, because if you think about it, the health minister, he's talking about these PPEs being delivered, and they've got to have so many tests throughout the year. Or throughout how many days. Now, the first lot of PPE that was sent from China was shit and shoddy.
Right.
So we had to send it back. So then that's backlash of, we're still waiting for this PPE, but we haven't received it.
Okay.
Then they get another shipment of PPE the other night, and they get it in. But that's only going to supply a certain amount, because it's only one cargo plane of PPE.
Right.
But then there's 3 more cargo planes supposed to be coming in, but then you've got to consider all the things of wait for it to be loaded, wait for it to be made, wait for it to actually get.
I get that.
I
mean, obviously, but I mean, you can't. I mean, that's just one aspect. I mean, the thing is, it was like the UK started making it in house, and you know, we should have had that sort of infrastructure already, just in case. We shouldn't rely on other countries to.
We were part of Europe, so Europe was going to ask. You know, Europe would have helped us like it's helping its other countries. Doubt it. they're all fucking complaining about it.
Well, we can
Very
talk a bit
out
more
there.
about this a bit later on, because we do have a segment that we do every week that we should be moving on with. To be honest, what do you reckon? What do you reckon, Taylor?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then. Well, each week we look at a town or city that you've chosen. You get in touch and tell us where we should investigate. And we look at the most fucked up stuff from your area in a little segment we like to call What's Fucked Up, where you're from. And this week, we're going to be travelling to Toronto in Canada, thanks to an email we got from Alice, who says she swears her house is haunted and things keep moving around. Wow.
Sorry, husband.
Yeah, do you know what? It could be if you're sure you got nobody living in the walls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
it's been known to happen. She says she's also got a problem with shadow people, if we know anything about that. She's from Toronto, Canada, and please could we look into any the most haunted places in Toronto. Thanks, Alice. Thank you, Alice, for getting in touch.
Thanks, Alice.
If you want to get in touch and be involved, you can get in touch on neverstraightanswer@gmail.co.uk. But yeah, I had a look into it. We did. And we found some of the most haunted places in Toronto, and it seems to have had quite a bit of a history. Where, like most places we look into, it's
That's
quite
true.
creepy. Actually, I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking, no matter where I have a look, there's some weird stuff. So, I mean, is it just a case that we're just a fucked up planet? It's what's going on. Well, one of the most haunted locations is the Old Fort York, which is basically the location of 3 separate bloody battles in Toronto's history. The Old Fort has seen lots of carnage, and every year this location generates the most reports of ghost activity in Toronto.
Right, okay.
It consists of the garrison, the central blockhouse, and the officers' quarters. Fort York's buildings are reportedly haunted by a ghost of a woman in the quarters in a red-coated guard near the entrance. Along with these sightings, visitors and staff have reported a variety of odd noises, presences, and visitations. So yeah, they have kind of like an ghost experience night over at the fort. And,
so the celebration.
Yeah, they're all about it. Yeah, well, of course, man. It's like you're a haunted castle, then you're gonna kind of go, come see the haunted castle.
Yeah,
£2. £2, haunted castle. Bring the
£2,
kids.
that's cheap. Yeah,
Sorry, £2 for the kids, £10 for the adults. You know what I mean?
I go like a kid then. I'll dress up in the cowboy.
Yeah, you get away with it.
Get your chaps on.
At number 2, Keg Mansion, formerly known as the Euclid Hall and home of the Massey family. The Keg Mansion now is one of Toronto's best-known haunted locations. So basically, patrons and staff have been bothered by a presence watching them near the washrooms, and staff have both seen the phantoms of children playing upstairs. So don't just go for the haunted stories, though. The Keg Mansion serves some excellent food along with a delicious steak. So yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So you can go for a scran, get an haunting. Awesome. So,
why not where you go to the toilet afterwards?
Well, this is it. The ghost hanging around near the washroom. It's like, you washed your hands, sir.
Yeah. You want any spray?
Yeah. Would you like some aftershave, sir?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Let me sort your hands out.
I am the ghost, sir. Another ghost sighting, or another haunted area in Toronto, is the Old City Hall. It's no surprise to find ghost hauntings in a place where people were given death sentences. But the Old City Hall is said to be haunted by at least 2 people, and basically who did receive death sentences. And, so they believe that both men had been hung.
Hanging around.
They got hung, and their spirits are haunting any of the judges' chambers Do you know, like whenever
See?
a new judge comes around, he gets a bit of a haunting.
Oh, that's mean. I mean, they need to kick bloody ass every now and again,
They've had
especially
people.
the corrupt
They've
ones.
seen so ghosts have pulled on the judge's robes, walking in deserted hallways, moaning, and basically they've seen ghosts and heard moaning from the empty holding cells as well. So,
Right.
yeah,
Ah,
Toronto.
yeah.
It's a bit of a bit jaily, isn't it? It's like you're getting kind of. This is what makes me think about a lot of the sites in the UK. Do you know where it's like a lot of
Convicts or
beheading and a lot of hangings and stuff, or battlefields. You know,
Yeah.
places where there's been a lot of fucking torture and a lot of unhappiness, if you like. And then if you think about fault lines and stuff like that, if these places happen to
Be on
be on the
at the
fault
time.
line as well, it's like, does that magnify that? I don't know.
Well, I would have thought so, to be honest, because it seems that like the fault lines are where you're seeing the most spookiest, and the direction of the power, I suppose, of like the planet or the whatever this is, how do you call it, the universe.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. It's like, well, I don't know. It
It's
baffles
got
the
a place
mind,
for
doesn't
some
it?
reason.
I've got another location, the Guild Inn, originally built as a summer house for the Colonel Harold Blackford. This building has served a variety of purposes in history, including a missionary cottage, museum, military hospital, and hotel. Now it's an
And the military
abandoned
hospitals
building,
are going
and the
now.
Guild Inn is pretty much a ghost house now, and it's got ghosts haunting its halls. Visitors report most activity in the theatre area, along with a feeling of cold spots, creepy feelings, and reports of visits of a young soldier with one blue eye and one brown eye. It was Bowie.
Bowie, David.
He was asking, "What is the life on Mars?" Yeah, he
Wait,
was.
he knows about it in
David
Heaven or
Bowie.
Hell now, doesn't he?
What? Yeah, he's yeah. Well, he must do now. Yeah, I'm hoping that David Bowie knows the answer to that. Urban legends. Toronto's got a few of those as well. Did you know that they've got their own Nessie?
Yes.
Did you know that? There you
Yes.
go. Well, there you go. Did you know that they've got Loch Ness Monster has a Canadian cousin?
Yeah. Well, they named it differently, got they?
Well, Lake Ontario has its own Nessie sightings for centuries, lurking in the waters. First known accounts of the famed giant sea serpent came from Canada, from Canada's rich. It's got a rich industrious history. So, obviously they've been kind of round that area for a while. And they say it's a 50-foot bluey grey serpent basking on the waters, on the lakeside. And that's been spotted a fair few times. Whilst these sightings have never been confirmed or denied, if you're lucky enough to spend the summer in Ontario, you might just spot a Canadian cryptid while you're fishing on the
Get your
lake.
camera ready.
There
You
you
could
go.
have that famous one in a lifetime picture.
There you go. And this
Nessie and his girlfriend.
Well, yeah. Canada, obviously, paranormal investigation. We always got to look into it. And Toronto's no different. They've got a paranormal investigation team. They're called Toronto Paranormal Investigations. They're a group of professional investigators in haunting, spiritual activity, and other paranormal experiences that are often considered to be supernatural. Our mission is to assist individuals who believe they may be a target of what appears to be a paranormal influence, ghost, or spirit.
I wonder if it's dealt with portals.
Maybe portals.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They're not just into ghosts, all kinds of aspects of it.
Well, they say others may doubt you, or someone you know has experienced or believed. They're just gonna turn around now and say they believe you. No, they do believe you. We assist haunting spirits and other supernatural and paranormal forces. If you are interested and you're in the Toronto area, get over to torontoparanormal.com, and they'll
Go
hook
find
you
out.
up. Go
Find
have
out what stories they've got.
They've got so much on the website. I was actually quite impressed with the website as well. So if you are interested in paranormal kind of happenings from around the world, check the website out. Yeah, torontoparanormal.com. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. And that's this week's What's Fucked Up, Where You're From. Yay! There you go. Thanks, Alice, for getting in touch. Like I say, if you want to get involved and you think you've got a pretty special area or town or kind of just fucked up nonsense goes on, let us know. You can get over to Twitter and slide into DMs over there, and you can message us on NASA_never, or you can email us by rather going to the website at neverastraightanswer.co.uk, or emailing us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.co.uk. There you go.
Did you get that? Did you get all that?
Did you get it? I got it.
Or do you want? Does it want you want him to do it again? No. We've got to move on now.
I'm not doing it again. What are you on about? Talking at you. Oh, sunshine. Yeah. So moving on. Well, no. Cheers, Alice, for getting involved, and you know it's nice that people do, and we've had a fair few people get involved with What's Fucked Up, Where You're From. And we love it, and I love investigating your local town. So if you want to get involved, get over and send us a message. We don't bite.
We all know you've got a weird town.
What?
I know you've got a weird town. They're everywhere.
Weird tan?
Weird tan. No, weird
got
tan.
a weird tan.
Weird tan.
I'm on Mars, mate. It's the red planet. I just look a bit.
Green?
What?
Or grey? Should it be grey, or even?
I'm not a Martian. But that is an interesting actually an interesting theory.
That's a bit debated,
It's something that I will be talking about, because obviously I am on Mars. The longer I spend here, look, when I wiggle my fingers, I do start looking a bit green. But what I'm saying is, the longer I spend on a different planet, do I become, genetically, different from a human being based on, gravity? All these aspects that you don't think about. So, we'll go into it a bit later on. In fact, what's stopping us? We've got all this time, and we may as well talk about it. SpaceX.
Let's do it. Let's be outrageous.
Let's fucking do it. Yeah, right, all right then. You twisted me arm. So,
what?
I
haven't nowhere near you.
Anyway, right. So, Elon Musk has kind of like come out a while back, so he wanted to kind of do. He didn't come out of the closet. Chill out, right? So let me start again, right?
Yeah.
We've all dreamed of going to a different planet, yeah? Would you agree? The moon, looked up at the moon and thought, yeah, one day, yeah, potentially, I might be able to go up there, right?
I think we should have bypassed it by now.
What?
I think we should have bypassed it by now. I think we should have been to fucking
personally,
moon,
for me,
Mars.
It was the first time I saw what was it? Fucking Total Recall, and I saw the free-boobed woman, and I was like, I want to go to Mars, right, and I was like, oh, they've not.
You don't have to go to Mars for that,
What?
You don't have to go to Mars for that,
To get a free-boobed
woman. There's actually a woman in I think it's America who's actually.
I'm only joking.
Funny.
Come on, I'm only joking. So but like Elon Musk must have had some reason why he wanted to go to Mars, and in September 2016, he announced that plans to create a 1 million person colony on Mars. The plans would include a moon base by 2022.
Like that one behind you. Nice little complex.
Oh yeah, it's nice. I'll just put my feet up. It's a place where I like to call up.
You live in that little dome there.
He's basically saying he's the creation of new rocket systems that would be able to not only get them to Mars, but be used as a new form of internal travel on Earth itself. It's a big plan. I mean, obviously.
Massive.
What he was suggesting was kind of from a non-government funded kind of company was quite ambitious to say the least, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the moon base alone, considering we've not been back to the moon for so long, and it was like, all right, we want to do this, we want to go to Mars, but we're gonna have to make a pit stop because it makes more sense.
They really should.
I think they should.
I think it needs to be the moon first before we move on, because then we can learn a lot more where we're out there, even though we're estimating.
Science changes so much that maybe, fair enough, we've not been. The scientists might have thought that they've learned everything they needed to learn from going to the moon, but based on new science, you might be getting up to the moon now and going, actually, we've learned a fucking hell of a lot. We didn't even realise we were going to learn. Do you know what I mean?
That's why we've got theoretical theory and practical theory. Think about it, decide on it, and mathematically idea of what it should turn out to be, then go out there and fucking try it.
Do you not think there's moon bases already?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's obviously now the moon, the Space Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not think that these guys are going to need a little base on the moon?
Yeah, we've got. I believe we've got a base.
You'd need that, wouldn't you? Being a bit kind of like half out, just kind of in defense of planet Earth. If you're a space force, where's the most logical place to be? On the moon, waiting, just in case anything comes in long range scan. You can go, hey mate, we picked them up.
Depends what it is, so.
Well,
because
it could, like I say,
disturb the orbit of actually the moon as well, because it could wave it off.
Well, no, because the moon's an elliptical orbit. The moon.
Yeah, but let's say
that's why we always see the same side of the moon all the time, because it doesn't have an orbit; it's stationary, so it's perfect.
Yeah, but it's moving away from the Earth. What is it? I think it's a centimeter every year, something like that. So it is moving off.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it might be, but like the thing is, moving on a kind of a stepping stone to Mars basis, it's like it's better to have. A platform to springboard from the moon, say.
Yeah, you never put all your eggs in one basket.
You've got a bit of a kind of a head start there, haven't you? And as well, it's easier for kind of, if you're thinking about kind of doing repeat trips where you need to kind of load up on cargo and send it to your base on Mars, then it's going to be a case of that, well, you'd rather it resupply on the moon and have to come all the way back. Do you know what I mean? Every time. But it's easier for us to send smaller rockets, cheaper rockets to the moon.
Yeah, afterwards, or maybe even beforehand.
Yeah, maybe.
To be honest, I would try a process of sending a ship there to orbit, and then as it's orbiting and everything's getting dealt with, to send down to the planet.
Well, they tried that, didn't they? They tried sending when he sent his first Falcon 9 rocket with the payload of his first Tesla and a dummy. The aim was the aim and trajectory he sent it was to try and get to Mars, right?
Yeah.
It overshot.
Well,
no, it overshot. It went past Mars. It's actually gone past. It's now on a new orbit around the sun. And it kind of joins our orbit occasionally, and it'll join Mars's orbit occasionally. So it's still out there, the car, the Tesla car. It's still floating around in space. But I think that was kind of like a first demonstration of what he was doing, wasn't it, Musk?
Yeah.
In terms of saying, look, I can get this rocket up in. Look, I'm sending a fucking car up.
It's an advertisement as well. It's the biggest advertisement. Yeah,
exactly.
First person to ever send a car out into space.
So, I mean, the rockets that they use, obviously he's developed the Falcon 9, the Heavy Falcon, or the Falcon Heavy, the Dragon capsule, the Grasshopper, and the rocket that they're going to be using for the Mars mission, which is the BFR. Which affectionately known as the Big Fucking Rocket, or the Big Falcon Rocket.
Is that the honest truth?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what I'd call it. The rocket reaches speeds of up to 18,000 miles per hour, or 29,000 kilometers per hour, and can be reusable. It's a reusable rocket, which means obviously saves billions and billions. Now, the flight, this is the problem with NASA. They turned around and said that the money it costs to do this would be reaching into the billions, trillions even, yeah. And Elon Musk went, no, I can do it cheaper than that, and he's got it into the millions. Do you know what I mean?
That's sort of funny because there's just been a new announcement from NASA who've actually turned around and I've said from the beginning that we need more than just our company and our country to do this. We need to join together, and basically they've gone out and asked so many people to join, and they've actually now put down their legal resources on actually how this is going to operate.
All right, fair enough. I mean, it's nice to know because, I mean, it's like in terms of the pandemic, I mean, it's a bit shit, but in one thing, it's kind of united a lot of countries into kind of working together for vaccines and stuff like that. And I think it's a kind of a testament to, you know, how science can work together for the greater, you know, it sounds really sappy, but like, you know, the greater good of humanity, man. I mean, a bit more about the rocket. It can hold up to 80 to 200 people, not including crew, and would take about 3 months to get to Mars.
Hold on. They soon, what was it? I worked out, it will work out 115 days. It will
115 days?
Yeah.
Well, how long's that? Probably about 3 months. Probably just a bit over roughly. 3 months, but roughly about 3 or 4 months.
But they had an estimation of between 80 to 150 days to actually get there. And
but his Falcon, his big fat rocket, it's you know, he's still developing it, and it would make current rockets totally redundant. Looking basically at having one system that can do everything, and all the bits are reusable. So basically, the thing about the BFR is that it can do every job all of his other rockets can do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, whereas, like, you say, imagine it's like a toolkit where, like a Dremel multi-tool, and you've got all these bits that you need, for different jobs. Well, this can do all the jobs. So, I mean, it's something that will keep costs down, but obviously it's a reliable system.
It's the stuff that we used to have, where you used to have something, and it would last. It was a funny thing called it used to last. But then all of the corporations got in there and went,
because it's all about it's all about you know, making money, isn't it? It's all about. It's not about sustainability. It's about creating a product that is designed with flaws. So you're going to need to buy a new one in a couple of months' time. You know, that's the situation. Now, Elon Musk is saying that this not only could be the answer to interplanetary travel, but he's also saying that. What's that?
Well, the start, I wouldn't say it would be the basis of the internet.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's the start of it. Like you say, I mean, it's something that's not been really done before or tried in a long time. You know, but he's also saying the fastest way to travel around on Earth as well. Saying that the big BFR could be potentially used for commercial travel, getting from places like LA to New York, which usually takes 5.5 hours. Saying on his Starship, it'd only take 25 minutes. He's saying from London to New York, which usually takes almost 8 hours, you'd be on there for 29 minutes. And London to Hong Kong, which takes 11 hours, 50 minutes, he's saying you get there in 35 minutes. I've been on longer bus journeys, and he's saying I could be in Hong Kong.
I don't know how he's going to do it, because you'd have to have liquid oxygen for that, and the amount of pressure on yourself as well, because there was a commercial industry who wanted to build like literally looked like a UFO, and from like America, from England to Australia within half hour. But the problem with it were that you'd have to have liquid oxygen.
You'd be like that with a fucking breathing apparatus, something like that.
Sucking water.
Here's your captain speaking.
It's going to feel fucking...
We're going to be reaching pressures of 5,000 Gs.
But this is it, the pressures. I can't see how he's done it unless he turns around and goes, right, we've got the UFO fucking phenomenon, the alien shit phenomenon, we got the stuff.
Well, they have. Well, you know they have. They've been doing fucking, you know, reverse fucking engineering on this shit for so long. What would it be like? What would like a colony on Mars be like? What would you say? What would you think?
I think, well, I think it'd be a bit. It depend on who goes as well. It really
Yeah,
all
all the
depends.
knobheads. Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I'm
If
trying.
you've got no knobheads, which you've always got a knobhead,
Yeah,
but you've
definitely.
always got the joker.
You
You've always
know,
got the hard nut.
you always
You know
see
what I mean?
this tropes in movies like this where they're all on like a
Yeah.
Mars mission and there's one knobhead who fucks it up for
And
everybody.
what's it going to be like when they're all together on Earth? Yeah, they're all pallying all this, but then when the pressure hits the fan, when they
That's
get
it.
there and they've got to do certain things and like,
There's
oh,
a
I forgot
Twilight
this.
Zone episode which was really good, and it was kind of like this, and they all thought they were on a simulation, even though they were on the actual mission. And
Yeah,
one of them was like convinced that it was still a simulation, and yeah, it was good. I'm not going to
we've
spoil it.
got like
Watch it.
biodomes.
Watch the new, Twilight Zone. Elon Musk says he wants to make the red planet as nice of a place as possible, with sustainable population of around 1 million. Yeah. He says, I can't think of anything more exciting than living amongst the stars. Well, news for you, Musk. You already are. Chill out, mate.
Yeah,
You're already
we're on
doing
this
it.
little rock hanging around space, spinning at thousands of miles an hour, going through space
I
at
know.
thousands of miles an
It's
hour.
crazy to
So
think that, but yeah,
it
we're
is.
already doing it, living the dream, mate.
Yeah.
Seriously. What would
Well, then step out the door, you go, phew.
well? What he's saying is, we've got what it takes to be multiplanetary. So,
What have we?
what would it take to become multiplanetary? Well, like say, getting to the moon. Only 24 people have visited the moon, and the last of them popped in 1972. SpaceX are planning to return for the first time on a private lunar passenger flight, passing the moon and taking about a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is obviously this is a good
Is
test.
that billionaire?
Yeah, but this is the
Instant.
good point, right? Because obviously it gets it's a good indication of how people will cope
React,
in a large
yeah.
group. There's 24 of them on a moon mission. Yeah, they're only going for on a flyby. Yeah, but they're there on that for a week, so it'll
Yeah.
be because you're not just asking the
pressure.
best of the best. It's not like you go in. We need the right stuff because we need astronauts, right? These are everyday people, scientists, fucking
Yeah.
people who might say the sweet and pass all the psychological tests, but have a breakdown
Yeah, because they know
midway.
it.
Do you know what I
The
mean?
clever bastards.
Fuck
Yeah.
knows. It's like it's a good indication of like how people were going to survive and survive together in space for a long period of time. So you know,
You
it's quite
reckon-
interesting.
The experiments that they do, like on Earth, like you know, the biodomes, they throw them in and go, right, you're in there for a year, solve it. Do you
Yeah.
reckon that would? Do you reckon that's a good estimation of
Well, I think that's
sending someone into space?
a
Do you think
good-
it'd be like the same?
No,
Or would you
because
think
I
it'd be
think there's
different?
no I think there's a big psychological draw when
Yeah,
you're in
that's-
space, and there's
Yeah.
like you've got all these not just there's a lot of different dangers that go hand in hand with a mission like this. It's not just a case of that you're going to be in a biodome and you can smash the window of that biodome and leave anytime you want, right? You've always
Yeah.
got that. I'm only in here for a year, yeah. Not much is
Yeah.
going to change outside, and the coming home part is as easy as opening a door, right?
Yeah.
Now,
And
when
any
you're on
little
a
thing along
4-month
all
mission
that
to
way could
Mars, and that's just going, yeah, which you could encounter many different fucking things that could kill you in that 4 months. Then you've got landing on basically a toxic planet, which is designed not for us, yeah. Now, it's got a toxic environment. There's no fucking
95.32%
natural
carbon dioxide.
food. Yeah, exactly. It's got a fucking. You can't breathe. It could possibly kill you, right?
We need at least 22%
And
oxygen.
I think
We're
it's
in
a one-way
22%
trip.
oxygen.
I don't think there's an option of coming home. I think if you go in
No.
and stay in there. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't
those
think any of them will come on.
those first pioneer people, I think it'd be fucking hell for them, to be honest.
I think at least one or two are going to end up after coming home to see what the reaction would be like.
They'd probably do a test on a couple of people to see what the
But they've been
return
doing
trip would
twins
be
haven't they, with
like.
the ISS.
Yeah, maybe.
So and there's different things that go on with your body, from your muscle
We've
to your...
looked into this. I mean, there was the twins. One of them stayed on Earth. One of them was on the ISS, and one of them came. The one who was up in space for 3 months or a year. He was up there for a year. He came back, his DNA was fucking altered, and he
Yeah.
was no longer a genetic match to his brother, who was a twin, identical twin. So, you know, it's proven that spending prolonged time in off-planet does fucking do things to you. I mean, even like we're talking about traveling there and the dangers that are involved there.
Radiation.
You've got radiation.
Oh,
You've
right.
got you know, not only that, lack of exercise and gravity will make
Space.
your muscles go into atrophy. Yeah, so then you end
Smells.
up with fucking crazy. You
The
know,
smells,
you're
your
just not
hearing is going to be
healthy.
affected.
Loads of different things that are
The
involved.
skin as well, if you think about it, your environment and the skin, you feel generally around everything. You get your senses in a small apartment like that. And plus, it's going to have to be rotating as well, so you can
Space.
get some
Damn,
anti-gravity.
scary. Well, it is a scary place. Well, the idea, what they're planning to do, is they're gonna first obviously send up the moon stuff. They're gonna try and get up to the moon by 2022, but they're also gonna try and get the first cargo mission to Mars by 2022, with the objective of the first mission to confirm water sources, identify hazards, and put in place the internal power, mining, and life support systems. The second mission will be 2 cargo missions as well as 2 crew, and they'll be hitting by around 2024, with the primary objective of basic setup of a base for internal missions, building of the base, which can be built upon into a thriving city and eventually a self-sustaining civilization on Mars.
So you won't have to eat any of that kind of smoke when you're up there.
That's quality stuff. What you're talking about, astronaut food.
Well, I'll find out on the 100th episode.
He's going to eat that on the 100th episode. What is it? Read it out. Tell everyone what it is.
This is a vanilla ice cream sandwich.
Is it?
Yeah.
Apparently, I've heard from a very reliable source that they're really nice.
Yes, I've heard. I can't wait to
I'm actually quite jealous. Actually, I might try and nibble when you're here, because
obviously
we're not going to be filming the live episode on lockdown. It's not happening.
That's be tasty though.
Leave us a comment. Do you think? Let us know what you think. Will the astronaut food, a vanilla ice cream sandwich, be a delicious treat or a powdery mess? You let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear.
The way I'm moving it, I mean, it's probably going to be a powdery mess.
No, yeah, it's like I'm breaking it up. The Starship, going back to this, will enter the Mars atmosphere at 7.5 kilometers per second. It will get hot, but the Starship's heat shields will be able to protect it, the ship, and the cargo and the crew. They're hoping, it will. So now this all depends on the first cargo flight being a success, really, doesn't it? Because is that one's trying to find water. Now, if they can't find a water source, then they can't make fuel on the planet, because they need that. They need they can't rely on us sending them fuel all the time. Do you know what I mean? On cargo ships. We couldn't send... Earth could not afford to kind of run a colony by sending them supplies every 5 minutes. The idea of a colony would be that they'd need to get set up and then be sustainable on their own. Do you know what I mean? Which has got ethical and kind of mad questions within itself, because I was thinking about this. And, all right then, I'm a pioneer. I've gone up to Mars, and I've kind of settled there, We've built a civilization, we've built a city, built a fucking kind of a happy family. People are getting on. We've got a lovely fucking atmosphere going. Social structures in place. Right? But Earth keeps sending us saying, nah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You've got to do things by our rule. How long before the people of Mars then turn around and go, what the fuck? What do you know about living up here on Mars? We should be ruling ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Or we should be governing ourselves.
That's why I think the military would be first up there.
To already put a claim on we're American.
Well,
We put a flag up
their
here.
command structure is much better than sending a group of people from different parts of the environment to
Well, yeah, of course,
just.
there'll be military as well as science, but the
I would imagine
science
a lot of
would
military
be
would
like,
be there
I think
first.
they'd be patriotic to whatever country was sending them up. I don't
Yeah.
know. I have no idea.
Well, that's another thing. What if a couple of soldiers from every country? Would the reaction to that be the same?
It'd kick off.
I reckon it would kick off. At one point, it will kick off, and we'll go, fuck off. This is our colony now.
Yeah,
Fuck
probably.
yourself.
Yeah. I reckon there'd
I
probably
don't
be
know.
wars. There could be civil wars for Mars properties, for fucking all sorts. This could be just, obviously, this is the beginning of the first sort of, I mean, it takes a long time for civilizations to spring up. And I mean, it's like, but from this little acorn, a big oak may spring up. And I mean,
Was
being
it ethical? Should
multiplanetary.
it?
I mean, well, you don't know. Basically, obviously, like I say, it all kind of hinges on the first mission and it being a success. But if it is, the 2024 rocket will see 2 crewed flights plus 2 cargo trips planned. The reason why Musk has set the date for 2024 is due to the Earth-Mars synchronization, which happens every 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's the best opportunity for to get to Mars quickly, basically.
Yeah.
It's when we're in a bit of a straight shot
Wait.
to... Yeah, I think I've got a picture of this, actually. Let me just have a gander. I've got some pictures of Elon Musk and the rockets as well, so we'll put these all up. You
sick.
can have a gander at this.
Well, you got to think of the weather there as well, like the dust storms.
So that's the big fuck-off rocket.
Yeah.
And obviously that's kind of the moon base I think they've got planned. There's Elon talking about kind of all the bits and pieces about the rocket and which kind of bits do what. And here's the orbit. So basically, like, they're gonna how they do it is they're able to slingshot themselves around and then be able to
deliver the cargo and then.
Yeah, exactly. Deliver the cargo.
Go
The
back within
rocket
a
breaks
certain
off
amount of
into
days.
different pieces, and then and then the main bulk of it attaches on the platforms. Do you know what I mean? Kind of re-lands where they set it off from.
In a funny kind of way, I suppose it's not a rush job when you actually do it, because your time is until you get the perfect rocket to keep going back and forth. You've got to keep it at a certain time. So let's say, so it takes 2 years. So let's say it's 115 days to get there. So you get there, get down, do bits and bobs. You don't have to rush on it. You just
exactly.
And you could actually be doing stuff where you're there, doing equipment or whatever, and then getting back on and slinging back 2 years later.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Based on this, it looks like they can only do a launch with essential cargo once every 2 years. So once they've had their delivery, that's them for 2 years. So
I
obviously,
think eventually it's going to be more than one launch at a time.
It gets to well, that's why they're sending 4 up in 2024. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get a good run up on it, and obviously using this synchronization period, it helps them get to Mars quickly, more safely, and takes a lot less fuel. So
Yes.
so it's worth them doing and using this pattern. And the plan is that the Starship cargo engines and whatever they brought with them can be used to kind of, be used to repurposed and build this new base, which will obviously contain solar panels, apparatus to clean water, and, kind of create mining equipment, this sort of thing. And like I said, they're going to need to be self-sufficient on the fuel, so they're going to need something, to be able to convert what natural resources there are on Mars into fuel.
You've also got to consider the orbit of the Earth, all the shit that's out there and that. You got to realise as well, we've got to fly through that shit.
Yeah.
So even that part's going to be
hazardous,
delicate.
Yeah, definitely.
And if we lose 2 to 3 ships there, fuck man, then it's
even
over.
I've seen this thing about ionization of the Earth dirt, right? Where they can do this process on it, which separates all the base silicons and metals, and even creates an alloy, which they can use for building. Just based on it's one process, and it separates everything. Yeah.
That's good.
And they're going to be able to use this to, on the natural dirt that's there on the red planet, and create some sort of alloy, some sort of brick, so building
And
materials.
small enough as well.
Yeah, basically.
All the items are going to have to be as small and as compact as could possibly be. So you're getting a better deal by going to Mars. If you think about it, any of the equipment that you get is supposed to be long lasting, small and effective, and do everything you want, even more jobs than it's supposed to be doing for.
Well, they're saying as well, because of the fact that Mars has got a rich CO2 atmosphere, it's and water means that they can produce fuel. That's pretty lucky. Yeah. To be fair. So what I've seen a few things about kind of delivery systems as well, like space cranes. Like, so they have these sort of big cranes on the planet's surface that these ships are able to dock to, drop cargo. So they don't have to keep kind of landing every 5 minutes or whatever. I mean, not that they'd be landing every 5 minutes, but
Eventually, you're going to need an orbiter to be around it to collect this stuff and send it down.
I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be too long before it'd have a satellite flying around it, and that'd be headline news. It's like Mars's first satellite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
to go
communications.
up. Well, because then we can bounce signals from Earth to. Well, this is how we communicate to Mars now so easily, because we've got our own satellite system around Mars. Wi-Fi is on now.
I would have thought that'd be on one of the first 4 ships.
You know what I mean? Well, potentially, yes, throwing up another satellite. So, biodomes, we've been doing the research in this area about kind of growing and sustainability in terms of a closed ecosystem, and, how to produce food and vegetables and all this stuff.
Well, we all know we can
in
do
a bubble.
potatoes.
Yeah. So, no, because it's proven that they can do this. They can they can create an atmosphere, an ecosystem based in this greenhouse and control it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming
and the
that this
is dead, by the way. It shouldn't have nothing to grow. So whatever we take with us will be the capability to make.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is how we're going to all be living, because we're taking that technology and we're turning it into a habitable system. Do you know what I mean? Where we won't be able to breathe the air on Mars. So, like in Total Recall, where the kind of pressure gets broken, everyone gets sucked out. That's technically what might happen, because there's no popping outside. Your parks and leisure facilities would all be in domes or in structures built with pressurized systems. The only way that we'd be able to is if they were able to terraform the planet and make it habitable for humans.
They should do that first.
Well, they should try to do that first. But how can you have a colony? How can you have a colony there and then terraform around them? But they reckon that it could take absolutely years to do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be the long process unless we've got the device.
Yeah. Do you think it will? Would you, if you were one of the people who were traveling over to Mars in this the first million? Would you go to places like the face on Mars to check that out and see if it was actually put there?
Yeah,
if it was a ruin or if it was something natural that occurred?
I think for a number of years that around the area, we're going to have a look around, but we're not going to venture too much out there.
I would. The first thing I'd do is I'd be like, right, I'm off on an exhibition, guys. Come on, let's go. Of course you would, but as an explorer, if you were an explorer, you'd take what you needed and head off out.
Go out.
Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't. That's what you're there to do. You're there to try and fucking map it out.
500,000 of them could be the ones that do it. Then you get let's say 20,000 for troops, 20,000 for the camps.
If you had a few of them who went out on an expedition teams, you'd get 20 scientists who are like, right, we're taking a small caravan of equipment out. We're going to survive on our wits and protein bars for the next 2 weeks. We'll see you in a bit.
You're going to have to make that equipment where you're there, because you can't. Everyone can't have all that equipment.
No, of course you can't, but they'd be able to take us, depending on what you're doing. Depending on what you're doing, you'd be able to take certain instruments that you desperately needed to do your job. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
but you're not going to be able to take a car, are you?
No,
You know
of
what I
course
mean?
you're not. But that's what I'm saying. You'd be
Well,
off
you
on
could
foot.
make one there to go and actually do the job of taking all the equipment with you.
Well, I mean, but what, you know, I think, like, do you think NASA have done enough in this whole space race, or in terms of, like, not trying to venture out or progress humanity in this field? Do you think they've just basically done nothing for the last kind of 2 decades?
I don't think nothing, but they have been having these plans. Like you said, like SpaceX has got the plans for this, but like NASA's got the plans for the moon as well, roughly the same time. But they've even come out now that they've got a crater where they're going to put a base. They've actually announced it. So
we picked out some beachfront property. We literally
it's all been about money.
So
a lot of it, thankfully, or SpaceX won't be able to do what it's doing today. They license more private companies to do this kind of.
I'm pretty sure NASA invests in SpaceX. To be honest,
yeah, they do. Yeah, it's a part of. Basically, NASA is the full control of it, and they've gone to other businesses and gone, "What, you can make a rocket? Go on, here we'll give you this amount of money. Try and make a rocket." But then, because it's black ops and stuff like that,
it's all top secret, isn't it?
They got in charge of what NASA can have or not. They could go away and go, right, we built this big ray gun, but we're not letting NASA have it. We're going to keep it for this. Oh, we've got another project though. We can build this. All right, then NASA turns around and goes, all right, we'll give you this amount of money and do it again.
And then we'll throw in the ray gun as well.
Yeah, but I think behind the lines, most companies have been looking at that. Are actually keyed up for this, but it's not just companies; it's actually countries. Countries are well
money at it. We want to get involved.
Even fucking.
Well, the thing is, this is the thing. There's a lot of people wanting to dive on it, and everyone was kind of questioning why Elon Musk was so fucking eager to get up to Mars by 2024, considering that there was a story that came out in 2016, just before Elon Musk made his announcement about the mission to Mars, about an asteroid, I think it's called Apophis, or Apophis, yeah. The asteroid that could hit Earth in 2029, yeah. So do you think that this is why there was such a rush to get this million people off the planet by 2024?
They know stuff more than we do.
Plan to save mankind?
Yeah, in one way, if you think about it, in a way, it depends on how they work it out. If it's just for the rich, which is probably for the rich and fucking famous who can pay for it.
Lifestyles of the rich
they're the
and
ones
famous.
that go and leave. I suppose what they think is trash.
Well, whatever the situation, it's very impressive, and SpaceX is looking to do the impossible and fucking pretty much land on Mars, aren't they? I mean, could humans be living on the red planet in just a few years? That's how kind of it seems. I mean, like, that's how it's being painted. It's crazy to think, but you know. I mean,
look at tomorrow's world. We're supposed to have robot fucking butlers by now.
Yeah, I should
have. I don't see it.
Where's my robot butler?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And cars that fly in sky and all that. Yeah,
a robot Hoover. Well, you can get a robot Hoovers.
We've seen they have the technology to do sort of these kind of stuff, but like it's being hidden away, and like progress for humanity is being deliberately slowed down, which in a funny kind of way, I agree, but in another way, they're abusing.
I think the fact that sometimes I do think that humanity is going too fast in technology, in technological fucking bounds. You know, you need to slow down a little bit. What's wrong with the phone you've got? You know, does it? You know, hang on that for a couple of years. You know, whatever. But it's all status symbols, isn't it? I mean, differences. Going on back onto Mars, I mean, in differences between Earth and Mars, there's quite a lot of big differences. Solar winds. Did you know Mars doesn't have it has a sketchy magnetic pole?
Yeah, it's very dodgy and small. Yeah.
So you know it's got hardly any magnetic field. The gravity is quite different. It has sand and dust storms. Obviously, there's no natural food. Pretty toxic as well. It doesn't
No
seem to be
water,
a
well,
place.
barely any water.
Doesn't really seem to be a place for humans, does it?
Seems to be mostly argon.
Why
And
can't? What's wrong with Venus or one of these other Type 2
Venus?
planets they found?
You step on there, mate, your foot's gone.
Why?
Don't get fucked.
Well, Venus it
Venus,
looks like
they actually reckon.
you reckon Venus is actually a prospect for
in the clouds.
What do you mean?
No further down.
Oh, we wouldn't be able to stand on the surface. It'd be a cloud city like in Star Wars, a bit of Lando.
They do actually believe that there's technical areas between. Yeah, suppose it's between. It's like us being in the solar system. We're in that Goldilocks zone that we can survive. If we were on Mars, we won't be able to do it because it's outside the Goldilocks zone.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But that Goldilocks zone moves.
It'll be a tropical paradise. That's what they'll paint it as. Anyway, by changing the planet using terraforming, we may be able to change this dead, barren landscape into something that looks a little bit more like home.
It's gonna take so long. Long.
Well, obviously it's not going to happen overnight. The process probably take hundreds of thousands of years if they did it naturally. But there's ways of inducing chemical change on the planet, increasing greenhouse gases, and so it creates more CO2. I don't know what the fuck they do. I don't know. I mean, terraforming a planet, it's not something that happens every day. I mean, the process on it's all science fiction, isn't it? Well, this is the thing.
The plant's going to need the water, which could change.
Elon Musk has even put the idea forward about just setting off a nuke on the poles to get the water flowing again, because he's saying there's trapped water on the poles.
But that's going to be radiated water, which we won't be able to drink anyway.
I suppose it depends what they're trying to do.
Depends on the device, I suppose. Kinetic, I would have thought it would have been a kinetic bomb.
The point is, there are ways of breathing life back into Mars. Do you know what I mean?
But it's, like I said, it's not going to be an overnight success. And there may be issues with it, and it actually might affect the orbit. And also, it might even affect the rest of the solar system.
Do you reckon?
There's a possibility, yeah. If I dropped a massive or a couple of nukes,
well, they must have to think of it. There must be another way, and they probably try and think of another way. I mean, the idea of trying to shift that ice, though, because there are actually patterns of riverbeds and stuff on Mars, and so there was obviously flowing water there at one point. Now the Earth's gone through changes like this. They've had, floods. They've had big freezes. It's even got areas of the Earth now, like the Sahara Desert, that has been proven was underwater at one point. So, the point that
we need massive of water over there. We don't. It's a trickle in it if you think about it.
The thing is, they do need to kind of be able to create an atmosphere and create a little atmosphere.
Well, yeah, drop a couple of kinetic bombs on each pole. Fucking fling shitloads of seeds. Yeah. Let it start the process then. See if it grabs it. If it grabs it, sweet. If it doesn't, I'm not even claiming to understand how how terraforming works. I mean, it's something that I'm going to be interested to look into a bit more over the coming weeks, I think, because I'm quite interested in it now. Going to go.
We might actually do a bit of a thing on how to terraform one day. I don't know. Once we understand it a little bit more. I mean, is there anything else that we've not gone into in terms of this mission to Mars? What do you think the kind of purpose of it is? What do you think? I mean, Elon Musk, he's kind of done a few kind of things at the moment, like the Starlink satellite system, which obviously he's saying that he's going to deliver free internet or affordable internet if you've got a mast,
Internet was supposed to be free anyway.
What?
Effectively, yes. You buy them anyway.
Well, of course, do you know what? It was supposed to be free. Yeah. And just like everything else, it gets privatized, and it's like, well, you get what you pay for. It's like, well, you can have, there are companies who offer free internet to their customers if they buy a different product, like Sky TV. You can have free internet if you're a Sky TV customer, but it's the most basic half a meg internet that's available, but it's free, so you can't complain, right? If you want better internet, you can go to the other company and pay a bit more or pay for it, and he'll give you faster internet. But that's the thing, isn't it? Because people want the bigger and better. If they turn around and said, right, everybody's getting free internet, yeah, you can't go to a third party and buy it. You've got this internet and that's it, yeah, but it's a constant 50 megabytes a second. That's all you're getting, yeah. Well, sweet, yeah. I think most people would be quite happy with that. Do you know what I mean? But
as long as there's a case of upgrading, but it doesn't come out the.
But that's what I'm saying. You're upgrading.
It should come out of the company's purse.
It should upgrade. Everybody should upgrade when the upgrade happens.
Because they're using it the most, and they're the ones who are getting the advantage out of it. The people ain't. The people are doing it to communicate to, throw the information, so we know what the fucking big boys have got.
Well, not only that, I mean, it's a method of communication in terms of like, it's not just the internet these days. Isn't just like one of those things that it's a necessity, really. There's a lot of adverts on at the moment, you know, saying, oh, in this crucial time, isn't it good that we've got all this technology and we can sell you technology and get you technology on your doorstep tomorrow, yeah? And it's like, well, that's fair and good. It's only great if you can afford it, do you know what I mean? But the fact is, the internet itself is necessary for a lot of people, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, the thing is, imagine it gone.
Don't say stuff like that. Don't scare me with these things. Anyway, moving on. I think we're moving on into the news.
Yeah.
It's the news. My phone pressed that button a bit prematurely there.
Got the end of your finger, mate.
It was itchy trigger finger. That's what I had. I've got some brilliant news this week. I mean, these are some stories that I came across in the headlines, and we're not even talking about them. But to be honest, killer hornets, kangaroos claiming the streets of Australia, and the summer solstice has been moved to a live stream this year. Just amongst some of the stories that have happened this week, but we've got some pearlers. Yeah, we've looked at the internet and tried to find the best news stories around, and these are what we came up with. First story I've got is a fucking terrifying, mate. Yeah, so that moment when you're looking down at the coffin that's going into the ground and you see a wave from the inside. Oh yeah, I'm still alive. Well, that terrifying moment was reality when haunting footage showed up. The moment the corpse appeared to wave from the inside the coffin. The video shows friends and family members gathering around basically the graveside, and the person was basically being buried alive. It sparked off fears. Now, obviously, however, camera zoomed in on the white coffin and its clear glass panel on it. Appears that the hand and the fingers were moving underneath. So, you know, it's good job they had the panel. But I mean, wasn't there a story a couple of weeks ago with about somebody being wrongly announced dead?
Yeah.
That's freaky stuff. That
it actually made me think of the one where the guy was actually dead, but he
he put the little video, he put the little tape recorder in, going, I'm not dead.
Dad, let me out.
Let me out.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. Even though at the time when I was first talking about it, it was like, nah, that's wrong, man.
Well, this happened.
When I watched it, I thought, everyone took it as
a good crack.
I was supposed to have been taken.
Well, that happened in the UK, didn't it? Or was it? Was it in the UK?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
This happened in Indonesia on the 5th of May. But it sparked a bit of controversy over, coronavirus victims being pronounced wrongly dead, through shallow breathing or shallow pulses. There was a mortuary where somebody kind of was wrongly pronounced dead.
Accused of dying.
accused of dying.
You've been accused of dying, yeah.
Going to prison by. Well.
Fingers.
Have you got any stories you want to talk about? What do you reckon to that? I mean, firstly,
I think
Well, I think we already knew it. It still happens
Just
today.
need to
It's
watch what you're
mistakes.
doing. Just mistakes are
People make
made, human error.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all human. If you've never made a mistake in life, look at yourself in the mirror because you're an alien, mate.
Slap your wrist, get back to
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
everyone's got. I got brilliant news this week
Go for
on a
it.
personal level.
Oh, on a personal level, what did you get? What's this news?
Yeah, my niece got a letter from the Queen.
Oh, excellent. Saying what?
Yeah, well,
Oh, come on.
while she's been bored,
Yeah.
Abby's decided to send a letter to the Queen to see how she was. And
Just
she
as a
received one
popping
back.
in, just thought pop in and just checking in on you. All right,
Yeah.
Liz.
Yeah,
Dear
it was
Liz,
like,
just
"Then-"
thought I'd check in because you're getting on a bit. Do you need
Yeah.
any milk or fags
Yeah.
from the shop?
Well, things are good. She's got it. Are you all
Oh.
right? How are you doing? And all this, and like she got received a letter a couple of days
So she
later.
got a
saying,
reply.
"Thanks for the letter." And it was like,
I
yeah,
suggest we all write to the Queen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we
Not
all
that
just?
Isabel,
If everybody who
listens,
listens to the show wants to write the Queen a letter, just checking in on her. You know,
just
say
check
hiya.
in, go for it.
Just to see how she. Just hope she's doing well, and if she needs out, just give us a shout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you
So yeah,
And
well,
she'd keep her
Abby.
busy as well, wouldn't it? She'd keep having to write us all letters. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
What's your
I
niece
thought it was
called?
good. Abby.
Abby.
Abby and Isabel. Isabel
Well
would have put
done.
her 10 cents in,
Well
no
done,
doubt.
girls, for writing to the Queen and getting a good response letter. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's excellent. That
Yeah, I've got a smile on my face. I will.
brilliant. So, anything
Yeah.
else you want to talk about? Any news that you've sparked your interest? I've got a couple of stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first Space Wing commander was found dead at home.
What? Space Wing Urban Commando?
Right. Well,
What?
we've just
Say
got
that
this new
again.
Space Force.
Right, yeah.
The 21st
Have you not
Space
seen-
Wing commander of the new Space Force
Right.
has been found dead in his own yard.
What happened? Nobody
apparently-
knows. CIA.
Apparently, it is normal health reasons.
Just a standard, just died of
It's a
natural
standard
causes.
because there was talk about the corona and that, and it was like, what? Nah. But it ended up not.
It's funny that because there's a new series that's coming out all about the Space Force with Steve Carell, by the
This
writers
guy might be on it.
writers of The Office,
Yeah.
and Steve Carell plays the general in charge of the
The
Vision.
Space Force.
Yeah, yeah.
See?
So it looked interesting. I wouldn't mind giving it a watch, see what that's about.
Yeah,
So-
I'll give it a watch.
so
Well, I
they-
was surprised to see
But they were,
that
but
Iraqi
they
was
were
announced.
saying it wasn't untoward. There was no suspicious
Yeah,
circumstances.
they always say it's not untoward. The thing is, for me, it was the position he was in.
Of course,
He,
yeah,
he
yeah.
got given it last year, the position to be in charge of it.
How do you apply for
Um,
that job? Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you
Get
apply?
paid
You obviously
soldier,
apply
man.
for a laugh, don't you? You apply for a laugh and then don't expect to get it.
Yeah, and then you get in, like, right, yeah, this is your first day.
Commander of Space Force.
That'd be mint, though. That'd be a major.
Where's my
foul
business
up.
cards? Here's my business cards. It's almost
Yeah,
like
right.
that. What's it? What was that sketch where it was like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a scientist, and it's like, oh well, I'm a rocket scientist, and there's like, oh well, it's hardly rocket science, is it? You you keep slipping that one out. I was like, it's hardly rocket science, is it? And then he comes in, another guy comes in, and goes, what do you do? He says, I'm a brain surgeon. And he goes, oh, well, I'm a rocket scientist. Well, he goes, well, it's not brain surgery, is it? So,
Nothing like it.
Yeah,
So you sit down a lot and talk.
never
Do a bit of
mind.
maths.
I've got a story for you. This is something that you can do if you're getting a bit bored at home on lockdown. Do you know these escape rooms that sprung up?
Yeah.
Which were kind of like puzzles and kind of like you wouldn't be able to get out, and if you could do it within an hour or whatever. All these sort of escape rooms. You know what I'm talking about. Well, you can now do a virtual escape room online with your friends during lockdown.
Oh, right.
So they're using one of these kind of Zoom or kind of these type of platforms.
Yeah.
You can try your hand at an escape room, either with your friends or by yourself. If you've never done an escape room, it's a game where a team of people are made to solve puzzles and use clues in order to escape but it's basically you can't really do it at this time, obviously, because you're in isolation. So this is the perfect combination of brain training and spending quality time with loved ones in the lockdown. So if you want to do it, there's 5 different escape rooms to try on trappedintheweb.com, and you'll be able to take part with one of the world's either solo or in a team.
So yeah, I'm just trapped in the web. It was called.
Yeah, it's called trappedintheweb.com. And you can do this with like a team of people or by yourself. So text your chosen teammates and make your way into one of the rooms on offer. Then you choose wisely in the rooms and take challenges, and you'll be able to kind of escape with the assistance of your friends. So how do you reckon to that? What do you think of that?
Yeah, bit of entertainment.
I think we should try it one night. Do you reckon? Yeah, I think we should do it.
I totally agree.
Well, yeah. Let us know how you get on with it. If you want to get onto trappedintheweb.com and do a virtual escape room. Anything else Anything else you've seen this week?
We've been taken to court.
You have? We have?
No.
What? No one's handed me nothing.
The country has been taken. The UK has been taken to court
again. Probably, wait a minute. Is it anything to do with the EU?
It has.
See what I mean?
He threatened Germany at first, and then now they've decided that they're taking us to court. I don't know which court. If it's European court, well,
kangaroo court. We're not giving. We're going to take us to court. What are you going to do?
Well, they're taking us to court over the movement because of the movement of people. You know, because they have the freedom of movement, but you can't at the minute. So because we broke the contracts, they're taking it to court because they are shitting themselves, absolutely shitting themselves. And now today it's been announced that the Australian point system is going to be coming into effectiveness in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can imagine that. I mean, and more so to do with the fact that I think for a long time now, there's going to be quite closed borders, just due to the pandemic. And I just think that it's like the travel industry is going to be fucked because no one's got 5 weeks to go on a holiday, quarantining 2 weeks on either side, and having a week where you want a chosen destination. It just can't be done. And then, you know, obviously all these travel airlines and stuff are going under. I mean, it's all going to be trying holiday within the UK or wherever you live. But, I mean, obviously international travel and international economy or money from tourism is taking a hit.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Unless you're actually practically doing something and not going over somewhere.
Oh yeah, just on a jolly. Yeah, but you're there to do a job.
Yeah,
but the point system, they've talked about this coming in for a very long time and never acted upon it. So
because of this, we are now acting on the.
Do you think like the Australian point system is a good system? Obviously, Australia are very strict, but they're not kind of. This is the thing, because nobody ever points a finger at Australia and says you're racist or anything like that, because they've got this point system. But a country trying to implement a system like that, automatically that comes up in the argument, because it's one of those fucking stupid fucking get outs, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it's just fucking it's stupid. They think because they're on the back foot now. Europe is basically, they need to try and get $1 trillion. They haven't got even. They tried threatening Germany to get a part of that $1 trillion out of them. Germany said no. They said, right, well, we're going to take you to court, and then looked at us straight away and said, right, we are going to take you to court. They've already put the process in, taking us to court. So now Boris and all the Conservatives have turned around and said basically they wanted us to be a part of Europe, but not in the words, but only in the programme. Right. Every one of them has said no. David Frost, who is doing our talks with them at the minute,
David Frost is David Frost.
No, that's another David Frost.
Oh,
NP
is
David
it through
Frost.
the keyhole, David Frost?
I know, that's what I thought when I first
amazing.
heard it.
That would have been top. It's like,
But he's chief
this
negotiator.
week we're going into Europe through the keyhole.
But they've actually turned
Looking
around,
under
he's actually turned
Putin's
around and said
mat.
they're wasting our time. They're wasting our time, basically. They won what they've asked for in the beginning, and we've said no, 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 and they will not change.
Right.
So it looks like, and France has turned around as well and said any referendum within Europe, within bringing any other country in, they will block every single one. And Sadiq Khan, which is our mayor of London.
Not my mayor. He's not my mayor.
He's the mayor of London.
He's the mayor of London. It's nothing to do with us up northern. Us northern folk.
Been caught lying.
Got caught lying, didn't he?
Yeah,
Little liar.
Because he went to the government asking for money. Because the money he's been spending on advertising him in
He's spending on girls and cocaine. No, I don't know. He might have been.
So he's been taking everything in charge of money.
He had a major ibogaine addiction. What?
But it's all fucked up at the moment. Like a lot of lying, a lot of getting caught out. But also the Pfizer report that's just is supposed to be coming out. It's now been called Obamagate.
All right,
it's been changed, because now Trump's having a go at Obama, because originally how the plan was actually Biden wasn't actually going to be the one who was going to be against him. It was actually going to be Michelle Obama.
Right.
And then she would have won, and then Obama would have been a little whisper in her ear on, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. So Trump at the minute is having a go at him, so the limelight is at him, and all these dodgy fucking stuff that's been coming out.
Some dodgy stuff going on.
There's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming out.
Dodgy stuff. I've got some here. Coronavirus strip club offers drive-through services during US lockdown.
Well, you drive through and you go, hey, have a look at me.
Drive-through boobies, drive-through boobies on push. What? Well, the owner of the business say the main service they will be providing is food delivery and a little bit of fun. Hey, the strip club
is just going fucking mad at the minute. Well, you got bakers who want drive-through.
Everything's drive-through in it.
Yeah, and it's like, no.
Well, what else can you do that's drive-through? I mean, come on, let's think of some other services drive-through. I don't know. Well, yeah, I know, but people don't want to. This is the thing now. People would feel more comfortable with contactless deliveries and fucking all the rest of it, which is understandable. But, I mean, and on the other hand, you've got people protesting and going on parades and stuff, you know.
Yeah, but it's stupid as well because of just because there's an outbreak of one disease that's come out, you still need
the bottom line is that these businesses need to keep going during the lockdown. They can't afford to stay closed for indefinite periods of time. And this is why the strip club in Portland, Oregon has found a novel way of staying afloat during the corona pandemic. The Lucky Devil Lounge transformed itself into the Lucky Devil Eats, which is got its dancers delivering food to go in a drive-up service.
So it's basically a titty delivery.
It's a titty service, titty twisting delivery service. Basically, like Hooters, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
We don't have Hooters. We don't have Hooters in the UK, but I'm assuming it's going to be something a bit like Hooters. They basically said almost overnight, the Lucky Devil put about a dozen of its employees back to work. They wear masks and gloves, and they take their temperatures every day to check that they're well enough to work. Obviously, with the quarantine shutdown, people are anxious about going out and stuff, and they think that what they're doing is bringing a smile to a lot of people's faces.
No, a smile to a lot of blokes' faces, mostly.
Yeah, probably.
A few women, but, you know.
They basically said it's a bit like they've turned it into a bit of like a disco lit parking lot where people get the food.
Fuck off. Half of the drivers are going round in a circle.
The best bit is, though, that parking lot's probably been used for dealing drugs for the last fucking however many years, and now all of a sudden it's like, these burger tits. I mean, burger stuff going on.
Be a dog in sight next.
So, yeah, I mean, what do you reckon to that? Dancers entertaining the customers as they drive slowly by.
I think it's a good idea.
What?
I think it's good. It's a good idea, but like, it's one of them. Like, will it? Everything's like coming contactless. You know what I mean? And it's like, it is good in a way, but it's also bad in a way.
Cash is king, mate. Cash is king. You'll always have cash.
All the time.
People will always need cash. And we talked about this in terms of like, you know, I mean, if you rely on a service or somebody who deals in cash primarily, then you've got a trade off. It's like, well, you might be able to entice him with like a vat of your mum's special chutney one week, but next week he doesn't want your chutney. He wants something else, and it's like, oh well, I haven't. What if I'm not? What if I forgot? Do you know what I mean? Until your services are no longer wanted or needed, you can't trade off. Do you know what I mean? So
that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop that because they're stopping bargaining. They've already tried to do it. They've already placed laws in this country
what about haggling?
Bargaining. But they are trying to stop bargaining. This year's supposed to have been the year where they
to haggle.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do
that.
For that.
You must be mad. That's how
they don't see the pennies or pounds going out. They see the fucking notes. They've got the notes and gone, oh, well, I've got plenty of them. I'll give you a £20 note. I've already got 50,000 coming in next week.
Well, anything else you want to add before I move? We've got one more story in the news. Have you got anything else? Well, I thought this was quite an interesting one to end the news on. Basically, the end of the world, says a 50-year-old book predicting 2020 as the year the global catastrophe is meant to happen. So the end of the world was predicted to occur in 2020 following a global catastrophe brought on by unlimited economic growth by the global superpowers, according to the book written almost 50 years ago. The Limit to Growth, which was the book, which was published in 1972, was based on a computer simulation that basically explored economic and population growth, which with a finite supply of resources. This was written by Donnell Meadows, and it was a study which was undertaken by a team of 17 researchers and was commissioned by the Club of Rome and funded by Volkswagen. Yeah, which thought was quite strange. Following its publication, the book sold over 30 million copies. This was back in 1972. And it was basically, it's particularly relevant today as 2020 was the year that was predicted and highlighted as the downfall of Earth's civilization. So they said that by 2020, in all the simulations run during this study, 2020 was the peak, and that's when we started going under. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Said Volkswagen supported it, did you?
Volkswagen Technic, yeah.
Who owned Volkswagen?
Well, the Nazis, yeah, totally. Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, obviously the Volkswagen Beetle was actually commissioned by Adolf Hitler himself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I do like a Volkswagen Polo, though, or a Golf.
Yeah.
Golfs are nice, yeah, I do like Golfs. So have you got any NASA news?
I haven't, to be honest. I haven't.
Well, I think tonight's episode was a pretty big NASA episode. NASA news heavy in terms of SpaceX and what's going on. And in terms of that, I've only got one last thing to say on the topic. Get your ass to Mars! Ow! Yeah, anyway.
It looks nice and sunny there. You've got the beach. Where's you just need the water.
Where everywhere's Mars, where everywhere's a beachfront property.
Yeah. That's a good seller, that.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. I could totally get up there.
But do you know who will own that, Matt?
Marketing, advertising.
Who will own 10% of Mars?
Who?
Google.
I've got one of those sheets. You know what happened to all those Do you know people who own these, like, I own an acre of the moon?
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's people out there who have, got certificates that say that they own
So
part of
sad,
or part of Mars. Once they're up there, does that stand? Do they get a claim? Can they build on it? So,
I think you'd have to contact Noah for that.
Noah?
Company,
Is that who does it? Yeah.
That's who gives you the rights to leave the atmosphere or not.
Ah, okie
Yeah,
dokie.
they give you the license either not to or you can.
Well,
but who give them the fucking rights?
Who give them? Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Who give them the right?
Anyway, I'm supposed to be a free civilian who can do whatever I want within reasonable counts. So if I want to get a rocket and fucking go up to space, in the middle of the desert, I set a rocket thing. Are you going to stop me? Yeah. Because if I say no and I carry on, what are they going to do? They're going to shoot me down.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. Want a big...
Find out what my name is.
Just before we move on to shout-outs, a big plug for tonight's sponsored section, Audible.
Yeah.
Get over to Audible and get 30 days free on
30
Audible.
days.
You'll also get a free book of your choice, plus 2 Audible originals, which is free books. And obviously, with all this time on your hands at the moment, you have a lot of time to get through some audio books. I recommend Every Tool's a Hammer, which is by Adam Savage of Mythbusters, who basically talks about how he kind of got into being a maker, using kind of being a creator, working at ILM, and it's really good. I definitely recommend that out. So you can get over to Audible. There'll be a link in the description, and you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, and tell them we sent you. There you go. Also, use the Amazon affiliate link, and just do your general shopping.
Yeah.
Gives us a helping hand. All good. All helps us buy those microphone leads and headphone jack adapters and whatnot that we need to do the show. So thank you. We've got some shout outs from our Patreons, our lovely Patreons who we love you. What are you going to do? You're the best, and we couldn't have asked for anything more. Big shout out to Jesse G for the fantastic support. Thank you for that. Big shout out to Big J, who's just the man. What can you do? The guy's a ledge. Can't wait to see you back in the bunker soon as. Big shout out to Swoosh.
Swoosh.
Mr. Tiny Elvis. Big shout out to Dunk Dunk. Then we've got big shout outs for some podcasts and friends of the podcast who are Gareth.
Gareth.
Cheers for keep listening. I know I've not been on social media very much the last couple of weeks, but I'll be back on. Big shout out to EJ. Same again. Yeah, can't wait to see some of your blogs coming back onto the site. Mr. Crabtree, thanks for listening. Who else? Liz Reader. Cheers for all the support. Well Kept and Unclean podcast. Tennish podcast. Who have not been in with us this week, but I'm thinking they're returning some point next week. Deep in History podcast. Cheers
for fucking listening. Smile so much.
Why?
He made me smile so much the other day.
Why?
In fact, it's the same day that I heard about my niece getting a letter from the Queen.
Oh, right.
Because he put on there, it was the date of the 1215 agreement between the people and the crown, the Magna Carta.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
But not a lot of people
he's knowledgeable. Back. Yeah. If you bang into your history and you want some proper research stuff,
he's got
check him out. Check out his podcast, Deep in History. They're called. Definitely worth a listen.
Brilliant. But
obviously, we've been trying to get him on, but obviously with all the shit that's going on, I'm sure we'll do it at some point. Big shout out to Killer Rabbit, the Mallard Report. Who else am I missing? Big shout out to Not So Minnesota Nice podcast, Jesse G and Jen. Check their weekly episodes out. They've been really funny recently. I do like their stuff. And what was it? You were saying the giggles.
Giggling, yeah.
They must get the giggles quite a bit. So yeah, that's it. That's all the shout outs for this week. Am I missing anyone? Shawnee and Chris?
Shawnee and Chris, yes.
Jinkelson, Grubar, John,
Yeah,
James,
Brooko,
everybody, Brooko,
okay.
Kinel, yeah, the list
Yeah.
is endless.
The
Jake,
list is endless.
Jake,
yeah.
happy birthday for this week. And
Yes,
hope you had a good
happy
one.
birthday, man. Hope you had a good one. I think you went fishing.
I did, yeah. I went out fishing, which is quite nice in itself, isn't it? As well at the minute. So what else? We're available on all podcast platforms, no matter where you get your fix. From Castbox, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, wherever you download your podcast, you're sure to be able to find us. Just give us a search for Never a Straight Answer, and you'll find us. Subscribe on YouTube. With that 100th episode coming up soon, you'll want to subscribe and get the notification to join us live and be able to ask us questions on the show. If you want to get in touch, you can hit us up on Twitter at NASA_never, and on Instagram at NASA Never Straight Answer. See some of our pictures there. We can get us at the website at Never Straight Answer. You can find merch and downloadable episodes, videos, all sorts of cool stuff there, or email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. You can support us at www.patreon.com/neverastraightanswer. We've got a fair few tiers. We've got from the quid tier all the way up to the big baller, hey big spender tier, where we'll even take you out for a slap up meal with your own money. And it'll be great. Plus many other things, all good things. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We love you, and that's why we just try and get out the best content we can possibly content we can possibly do.
I'm glad you didn't say certain words there.
What you content? I don't know. I have no idea. Well, there you go. That's it for another week. Am I missing anything? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well.
But I know what you mean.
I do feel like I'm missing
I
something.
think we are missing something.
I don't know what it is. If you can tell us, maybe that was it. How fuck knows. Anyway.
Yeah, our brains are gone.
Yeah, well, like you say, if we forgot anything, I'm sure you'll let us know. We'll catch you next week for another exciting episode of Never a Straight Answer. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
And we'll catch you next time. Peace. Get your ass to Mars. Ow.
Ooh.